Alright, so this is the cross member that was in the car. It doesn't work. And because of limited space underneath the car, it's going to be hard for me to videotape this. I can videotape it as to me actually fabbing it up, but a lot of the measurements and stuff are not going to be there. So what we're working with is there's 3 holes, there's 3 holes, and our trans mount, the bolt, is about here. So all I'm going to do is cut and move the center chunk here and plate, gusset, 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 gusset. So I'm going to go ahead and get to cutting this. Alright, here's what's left of our cross member. I have cut up, took that out, marked everything. I put passenger side face forward arrow, driver side face forward with an arrow. From the factory, the center section actually has a F with an arrow to face forward. So I dug through, got the bolts out, and took the mount off the trans. It's a little goobered up, but it's good for mock-up now. It doesn't come apart. So I'll get a new one once the motor and trans is reinstalled. We already have brand new motor mounts in it. So what I'm going to do is drill a hole in the offset of this, because where the trans mounts is farther back than where the cross member mounts a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just drill a hole in here big enough, as far back as I can, to where it gives me enough room for a washer and a nut in the center of this. Then we're going to put this in, bolt that in, put a nut on, bolt this in and square it with the car. Bolt these into the car. We're going to cut our rods. Tack weld everything in, pull it out, and plate it up. So the way it should end up being is it will end up being somewhere in this general region. So be plenty of gussets. We got plenty of room for that. I'll get it mocked up. Once I get it mocked and the rods tack welded on and everything else, go ahead and give you a shot of that. Alright. Here is the piece we came up with. This piece here is perfectly straight. So I'm going to start with a plate on the top, which I've already cut one. So we're going to go ahead and get it tacked in with the MIG. Side's pretty solid. We'll go ahead and start with the next one. Pretty close to where we like it. Mark it there. There's that. Clean it up. Alright. It's tacked. I got some plates tacked on there. It's actually pretty sturdy now. I'm gonna go ahead and fit it back in the car and make sure it doesn't need any tweaking before I work on the rest. I already test fitted it in the car. It's great. Instead of having to cut plate to go, it's an inch and a quarter, inch and a quarter to go here, 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 here. I went ahead and just bought this 1-inch flat stock from the hardware store while I was there earlier. So I've cut one piece down already. So I'm going to go ahead and get this tacked in. And then after everything's tacked in order to make this even more stronger, I got 14 gauge laying around. I'm going to clean it up, clean all the edges, and I'm going to plate the entire bottom of it. And, well, I'm going to cut out here, cut out for each bolt hole, and then cut out for this bolt hole here. I mean, if I drop a bolt in it, it'll fucking suck. It'll freaking suck. So, but it'll make it that much stronger. So it'll end up the whole thing being boxed. Now, I would have loved to actually make this whole thing from scratch. That way I just make it in one shot. It wouldn't take as much fitting and everything else. But the problem is if you can see here, is there is a curve here. It steps up. And I could have made some plate and go like, but I don't have a plate big enough to cover this whole thing. And then just boxed it in and all that jazz, or just taking some straight stock or like a big C channel to go just straight across or something, cut it at an angle. But I don't have none of that, and I didn't feel like trying to get this straight. So I said I've done it like this before in the past, so I have faith in it. Alright, everything's tacked. Everything's tacked. As you can see, I'm gonna wait to cut these last two rods off and go back under the car and fit it. After it's fitted, I'm gonna go ahead and MIG the whole inside of this, and then check my fit again. And then after it's all good there, go ahead and TIG the outside, and I'll cut these off. Test fit in the car was good. Go ahead and MIG the inside. Alright, I got a little carried away. Forgot I wasn't recording anything. So here's the cross member as it sits at the moment. I've already test fitted it. And so what I did is I clamped it. Kept tacking as I clamped it and drawed it up because obviously it's not straight. It's got a curve to it. And after that, I put in the gussets here. Next on my list is to go ahead and cut it all the way around and then weld it all the way. Once I cut all the way around and it's good and secure, I'm going to go ahead and TIG weld everything on the top and TIG weld the sheet metal all around it before I cut the holes out for the bolts. And then it'll be ready to go in the car. So go ahead and get started cutting it and tacking as I go all the way around. Alright, all the sheet metal's cut around it. I'm going to go ahead and get my other grinder out with the flapper wheel on it and clean up all around it, get it ready for TIG welding. Alright, here's my finished cross member. Plated on the back, holes out for the bolts in the nut, and gusseted here, 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 here. It's all welded up. So it's time for the final fit into the car. My hole saw that I found in a bucket somewhere. Cut this hole, got dull halfway through this, wouldn't cut anymore, just screaming. So I scored these, fired up my TIG torch and just burned it through. Now I cleaned all the junk out of it. So it's time to put it in the car.